Welcome to Traveler's Tales. I am your host, Greg Alonzo. Today in part 2 of Beauty Secrets from Antiquity, we will be discussing your comments and questions. Just a reminder before we begin, we post new videos every Tuesday and Friday. Moving right along, our first comment comes from Senta. She never realized the lengths women went to in their attempts to look more attractive. Well, Senta, that's a very good point. The women of antiquity experimented with many substances and foods to look more beautiful and stay younger. In essence, we haven't changed all that much, have we? Number 2. Our question comes from Oscar. He wants to know why so many cultures followed the lead of the Egyptians. Well, Oscar, my guess is that a lot had to do with the climate. Egyptians had to deal with the dry desert climate, the heat of the sun, and being plagued by swarms of insects. So not only did the Egyptians want to look young and stay healthy, they had to deal with severe climate, and this probably led to a lot of the different types of moisturizers they found out about and beauty secrets. Dolores wants to know what gave people the idea that extreme makeup was beautiful. The optimum word is extreme. Going to such great lengths was an indication of wealth and leisure time. So Dolores, this was the primary motivator in people displaying all their wealth and status in society. Our next question comes from Rafer. He wants to know if I believe that Helen was the face that launched 1,000 ships. Well, Rafer, while I believe Helen was indeed a beautiful woman, it is my belief that she was used as a pretext for the inevitable war between the expanding Greek city-states and Troy. Our next question comes from Ursula. She asks, is the bust of Nefertiti made of marble? And is it how she really looked, or the ideal Egyptian type? Actually, Ursula, the bust is made of sandstone. I do believe it is her true likeness. Both the queen and the pharaoh, Akhenaten, were fond of displaying themselves in natural poses. They also presented themselves realistically, rather than the stylized images that were prevalent in Egyptian art. However, I believe that she is depicted in her youth. There is also a limestone figure that depicts the queen much older in life. Let's see, we have a comment now from Barry. Barry says that he read Nefertiti was not an Egyptian. She was in fact a Mitanni. Barry, there are two schools of thought on who exactly was Nefertiti and where she was from. First, it is believed that she was the daughter of Ai. And Ai was a senior advisor who would go on to become pharaoh after the death of Tutankhamun. Another belief is that she was from the Mitanni kingdom in northern Syria. Our next question comes from Sophia, and she asks, was Cleopatra Greek or Egyptian? Let me begin by stating that Cleopatra was a descendant of Ptolemy. Just how much Greek blood flowed in her veins? One can only speculate. After all, 12 generations had passed since the Greeks conquered Egypt. Nevertheless, Cleopatra saw herself as a Greek, and perhaps that is what is most important. On an interesting note, she was the first and only of the Ptolemy rulers to speak the Egyptian language. Moving right along, our next comment comes from Perry. Perry says that he was surprised by the white makeup that the Greek women packed on their faces. The red cheeks made the women look clownish. Perry, I have to agree with you. Then again, it was a different time, a different place, and what was considered stylish is laughable by today's standards. The only other thing I can add to that is, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Our next question comes from Melissa. She says, don't Greek records tell us more information about Cleopatra? Well, Melissa, due to an earthquake, most of Cleopatra's palace is underwater. The fabled Library of Alexandria has long since burned down. Any surviving records have yet to be found. So at this point, that is all we know about Cleopatra. We have time for one more comment or question. And our question comes from Elise. She wants to know whatever happened to Cleopatra's cosmetic factory on the Dead Sea. Elise, we are not quite sure. Most likely the factory fell under the domain of Agrippa I. He was the tetrarch who succeeded Herod Antipas. When King Herod died, the Romans divided his kingdom into 4 regions, each ruled by a separate tetrarch. This concludes part 2 of Beauty Secrets from Antiquity. Just as a reminder, we post new videos every Tuesday and Friday. Don't forget to hit the little bell icon to be notified each time we post new videos. We have also listed our email address and Instagram information. Thank you for once again joining us on Traveler's Tales. Traveler's Tales will return with the Roman passion for chariot racing. Cartistos.